All right, today we're going to practice drawing from concealed. So first and foremost, make sure that you have a dry weapon. Your weapon is unloaded. To do that, you can take a look, make sure that you take out the magazine, you check the magazine, rack the slide back, make sure there's nothing in there. Just to be sure, you want to rack it back a couple times, lock the slide back, take a look again. Okay, your weapon is empty. So make sure you know the function of your holster too. This particular holster, as it comes in, it snaps in place and it's got a lever to release the weapon when it's time to fire. So first, if you want to practice some dry fires, all you have to do is make sure that you're in a safe spot. We're on range here today, perfectly safe. If you're at home, make sure your weapon is empty. Make sure that you're in a safe spot with nobody else around. You do not want to make sure that your weapon ever crosses anything you're not willing to destroy, even though it's unloaded. Okay, so from here, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to grip and unsnap your weapon. So grip and unsnap means I'm going to release the weapon if it's got something locking in place. Grip and unsnap, draw and turn, bring to the center of my chest and push out. Now, as I'm holding on to the weapon, make sure that you got a firm grip, pulling your reaction hand or your weak hand towards you and your strong hand forward, making sure you're gripping the weapon well. Now, as I holster up, I look around, bring it back to the center of my chest, and put it back inside. Okay, now let's practice that from concealed. If you do this from concealed, you have to make sure that you clear your clothing. To do that, you can come across with your other arm and lift up, or I can lift up on the same side. Advantages, disadvantages. Advantage of being able to do it with one hand is if you got someone attacking you and you're pushing them away, you can draw your weapon with one hand. Okay, so let's try that. Straight out, dry fire, check your environment, and holster up. Now from here, when you do your dry fires too, you have to make sure that you have a real steady trigger pull. You have to make sure that the sights align up, okay, so they go straight across. So the front sight is even with the two back sights. In order to practice that, you could draw your weapon and you could put a dime, you could put a shell casing or whatever on the end of your front sight and do a slow trigger pull. You can practice that. You practice dry firing. This is what's going to make you better and smoother. You get to the point where you can do this with one hand without having to think about it quite as much. Better. All right, today we're going to talk about how to safely shoot at a range. Now, you may have to shoot at a public range, or even if you're shooting on some open private land, make sure you abide by these rules and it will make it much safer while you're shooting. First, make sure you establish a firing line, okay? You have a line that you're not going to cross, especially if you're shooting with somebody else, so nobody else goes down range on accident and gets shot. So before you start shooting, you're going to say that the line is hot. After you're done shooting and everyone's holstered up and they can pick up their magazines and check their targets, the range is cold. So first thing you do is you make the range hot. As you step up to the line, the best way, the safest way to charge your weapon is to come up to the line with nothing in the magazine well. I'm going to take out my magazine, insert it in the magazine well, okay? Now I'm going to draw a weapon number 2 position, rack one in the chamber, and holster back up. Okay, now we're making the range hot. And we'll fire a couple rounds, do a magazine change safely, and then we'll make the range cold. Okay, range is hot. Gun! Gun! Cover! All right. I'm holstered up, nobody else on the range is cold. Now I can pick up my magazine and I can go check my target. Okay, so this session is for those of you that have a revolver, especially if you've never fired one before. When you take it to the range, you're going to have the same range rules as the revolver, only it's just a little bit different. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to come up to the line and release the cylinder, and this is how you load it up. This is a good way to hold it. Now, as I put the ammunition in, I can just turn the cylinder as I go to load it up. I'm also keeping it pointed down range as I'm doing this. Okay, you want to be safe about this. You always want to be safe, and you always want to have your weapon pointed in a safe direction. Now, as I close the cylinder, it's ready to go. You want to make sure that your fingers don't go too far forward where the gap is between the cylinder and the barrel, because that could cause a lot of damage to your fingers. So make sure you hold on to it. Your fingers are not obstructing the cylinder in any way. Okay, step up to the line. Snap your holster. Okay, from here, now the line is hot. Gun! Okay, just a little bit different than automatic. Revolvers can be a very effective weapon, especially if you practice with it. Thank you. So just remember, when you go out to the range, you're responsible for your own safety. If you ever see anything that you think is unsafe, then make sure that you correct it. Remember the 4 fundamental rules of firearm safety, and make sure that everybody that you're shooting with knows those rules too. Make sure you use proper ammunition for your firearm, make sure you take care of it, and when you're done shooting, make sure you clean your firearm. By cleaning your firearm, you're going to make sure that firearm doesn't malfunction for you when you really need it the most. That's all I got. Hope you enjoyed the videos.